The Viltrox 56mm f1.7 has been out for several months now for Fuji X and Nikon Z mount. And here it is now available for Sony E mount. Now, there are a lot of options now when it comes to a 56 or so millimeter APS-C. You got Makey, you got TT Artisan, Viltrox, Sigma, obviously. So in this video, I want to check out how this lens performs. And in particular, I want to compare it to the benchmark that is the Sigma 56 f1.4. This Viltrox 56 comes in a small white box. Inside you get a warranty card, a user manual, microfiber lens pouch, and the lens itself. Plastic front and rear lens caps, and a small rose petal lens hood. The body is very compact and lightweight as it is made out of plastic and glass. Weight is 172 grams, which is 100 grams or so lighter than the Sigma, and it is just slightly smaller than that Sigma in overall dimensions. Holding these two lenses in your hands, the Sigma does feel a little bit more premium just because of that weight, and there is a rubber grip around the manual focus ring. And I'd say that the plastics are maybe a tier or two less quality on the Viltrox. However, the overall build is not cheap feeling. It is certainly adequate. Starting at the rear, there is a metal mount, electronic connections, a USB-C port for firmware updates, but no weather sealing gasket. That's another area where that Sigma is better. The side features lens specs, a Viltrox logo, and that's about it besides that focus ring. This ring is smooth. It's about 80% as smooth as the one on the Sigma, and it is all electronic. Around the front, there is a convex front lens element, plenty of writing. Lens specs here, image size, a 52mm filter thread, and a minimum focus of 1.8 feet. Inside there are 11 elements in 9 groups, and a bunch of those are advanced elements. There is a 9-bladed diaphragm, and autofocus is handled by an STM or stepper focus motor. Mounted on my A6100, it is a fitting compact portrait lens. It looks good and it doesn't upset the balance of the body lens combo. My only real complaint is the lens hood, which doesn't click into place, so you can easily knock this partially off and have some dark corners as a result. But let's see what this lens can do on my A6100. All of these photos are JPEG straight out of camera, no editing, no post-processing, ready, set, go. So this lens looks really good. The one thing that I noticed immediately is they got the colors right. They are nice and punchy and contrast levels are high. All of these shots are done wide open and they look solid. In terms of sharpness, I did a side-by-side comparison with the Sigma 56mm, and this is probably one of the lenses that comes most close to the performance of that Sigma. In the center of the frame, both wide open, the Sigma is still sharper with more natural looking highlights. If you step the Sigma down to f1.8, that difference is even greater. The Viltrox is a superbly sharp lens, but the Sigma is just a touch better even at f1.4, and in terms of bokeh, it's also smoother. Even if you stop it down and compare f1.7 to f1.8, the Viltrox has the busier bokeh with slightly more outlining. Even when shooting a flat wall, there is no area in which the Viltrox beats the Sigma in sharpness, but it is consistently sharp across the frame. That is, the corners are just as good as the center of the frame, which is an achievement. With in-camera corrections turned on, there there's no barrel distortion to worry about. There is a little bit of vignetting wide open, however, that is visible in a number of samples. Chromatic aberration is fairly well controlled. It's not the best of the best, but it's in the 80th percentile, I would say. In terms of flare performance, well, there is some large green flaring that affects the majority of the frame. It does reduce contrast levels, and this is with the included lens hood attached. Bokeh, however, is overall good. It's pleasing. Yes, it's busier than the Sigmas with more outlining, and it does cat eye into the edges and the corners, but if you aren't comparing lenses, most people won't notice much of a difference. Autofocus performance is good. It's a little bit noisy, not overly so, but if you are using the onboard microphone, here's what you can expect. In terms of accuracy and speed, I would say this is better than the other cheap offerings from TT Artisan and Makey, but it still isn't up there with Sigma or Sony levels of performance. I did have a handful of out-of-focus shots, and while eye tracking in general worked well even in video mode, at a certain distance the Viltrox does give up trying to track a human face or eyes. Still, it is possible to use this lens for moving subjects, which is a win at this price. Focus breathing is also well controlled, so good news for video shooters. So what we have here is a lens that has, let's say, 85 to 90% of the optical performance of the Sigma in a smaller and lighter package and at half the price, which that's where Viltrox wins each and every time because they offer exceptional value. While optically this might not be a perfect lens, especially compared to that Sigma, you can't say anything other than it is an excellent value for money. And some people, my wife included, prefer the slightly less harsh, just barely softer look of portraits on this lens. Others may prefer the extra detail that the Sigma provides. In either case, I can't argue about that $180 price, and I've seen Viltrox run some sales, so it's possible that this lens is attainable at around that $150 mark, which is an absurdly good value. This is a lens that you can easily put on your APS-C camera and go out and shoot wedding portraits, engagement photos, senior portraits, paid work, really with very little optical compromises. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. If you are interested in reading more about this lens and checking out prices, I'll have a link to that down in the description. Stay tuned for more. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.